Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to share a screen here. Okay, folks, listen, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you here this morning. My name is John Cullen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Auranta. Sorry, right.
Sorry, John, I was on mute. You're working fine. We could see your screen there fine.
Yeah, just let me. I just want to share again. I got this wrong.
We're all learning, John, the intricacies of Zoom and Teams and whatnot.
Yeah, sorry guys. This
no,
is
you're fine.
Here. I'll just get onto the. Yeah, that's me. Okay, I think that's
perfect. That's
good. Okay.
Good, John. Yeah.
Okay. I said my name is John Cullen. I'm the managing director and co-founder of Auranta, along with Dr. Patrick Ward. We both basically set the company up in 2013. We had worked for a number of years together in food processing and food packaging, and we had decided to kind of look for a different challenge. So setting up your own business is certainly a different challenge. Since then, the rest of the team, Dr. Chris Horn came aboard in 2017 to beef up the commercial side of the business. Chris has a tremendous track record, both as an entrepreneur himself with Iona Technologies, and also he's been a serial backer of startup companies in Ireland, and especially technical startup companies in Ireland. And then we have Professor Tom Baragry. Tom was the head pharmacologist in the Veterinary College in UCD and has 40 years experience. He was probably one of the top vets in Europe then for about 20 years on various different councils and whatever. Basically, again, to go back to the point on the data, we set up the company and we started, as I said, looking for food application and food packaging applications, and a chance meeting with an animal nutritionist. And because we were looking at things like phytogenic compounds and whatever, we felt there might be something in that. So we started to kind of look at that area, but again, we wanted to take it from a different viewpoint. When we looked around, we saw a very noisy market with lots of people with lots of products based on either generic research or no research. So we set up a very specific model for how we would develop products, and it basically was a scientific approach where we were looking at basically small trials in terms of what was possible, were we getting an effect, then modeling in the lab, working on various trials and studies, and basically looking for evidence that we could actually do something. This was enhanced by our connections. We also, around 2014, we had a meeting with a group of vets in Thailand. These were guys who had quit their jobs in the pharma industry and wanted to kind of, with basically the whole microbial resistance and antibiotic resistance, they wanted to look and see could they come up with a range of different technologies that weren't relying so heavily on antibiotics. So basically, we linked up with them and got to know them, and we've worked with them ever since. I will say that the first product I ever sold was to Thailand, not Ireland, believe it or not. The problem, I suppose, is this antimicrobial resistance. And just very quickly, if you look at AMR in 2050, we're talking about the potential, if we do nothing, of about 10 million people being dead. Now, I will put a caveat to this. Europe is miles and miles and miles ahead of everybody else in the world on this. And I would say there has been tremendous work done by the Irish farmers and the Irish food industry in terms of managing this issue, and also in Europe, in fairness. But outside of Europe, it's a different story. And I just for interest, I mapped the current COVID-19 problem. If you see there slightly on the left, with 1.535 million people dead. We reckon now we're probably at half that state in AMR. We just don't know. It's a bit like the climate issues. It happens so slowly and kind of in the background. You don't actually realize how serious it is, but it has the potential to become a massive, massive problem for us, both economically and obviously from a health point of view. What do we do? Well, we basically take phytogenic, natural kind of plant extracts, compounds, and we look to promote gut health in animals that are being prepared and processed in the food chain. So we're looking at things like improving tight junction and reducing the chances of infection, how to develop a healthy microbiome. You're going to hear lots of talk about the microbiome and immunity, and how do we actually do that. So we've dedicated ourselves, and the first probably 5 years in business, we didn't really sell anything. Just a combination of hassling our friends for money and people who knew us, who were probably starting to avoid us in the end. We managed to kind of string together enough funding to kind of keep the business going and to actually build a case and develop 4 products. Just before I move off that point, I'd like to thank AIB, who have backed us from the start, and Fergal Franny then and Clonmel has been great, along with our other investors. The target outcome for the company was kind of better animal performance. So that was like basically a reduced rate of infection and responsible antibiotic usage. As I said, again, we're talking about data this morning. All our products and all our offerings are all based on proper scientific studies. We have 9 published papers. I think I have 2 more in the pipeline, and we've 9 university monitored animal trials with calves, poultry, and pigs. So basically, if we arrive with a product to a farm, we know it has been fully tested and fully proven. We don't rely on generic research. All of the research is done ourselves. We do a lot of it with AbbVie in Belfast. We've run trials in Saudi. We've run trials in Thailand. We've run trials in Romania. And basically, we could write a case study on how to do research on a shoestring. That'd be probably our real expertise. Basically, where am I? Just to give you an idea of like how Auranta works. Well, basically, everything is basically in the gut. So some of the observations we've made with our studies so far is that when we feed our products into an animal, we get increased length in the villi, which allows it to absorb nutrients better. We also tighten the junctions in the epithelial cells. If you look at the bottom layer here, you can see nice, neat, tidy cells, and on the top, they're kind of falling apart, and that leaves the opportunity for basically infection to get down. We also create, we've observed that we create more goblet cells in the gut, so that produces more mucus and it gives a better protective effect over the gut. And again, it creates a healthier gut health, which then leads to a better animal health. We've had a calf product for sale in Ireland called AuraCalf for some time. And it's used as a starting product for calves. This is just a very quick look at the results of a university trial that we did, but this product is being sold, like I said, in Ireland and very soon outside of Ireland as well. So in this trial here, you can see there's approximately 61 cows in the control and 58 in the actual AuraCalf trial. If you look down through it, we had four calves died in the control. The fecal scores were one is like very solid feces, 4 is very loose. We're much better fecal scores, much less fever, scours, much less percentage of scours, and when we had scours, it lasted for far less time than when we didn't use the product. This again is just another snapshot. It was a trial we did in Teagasc. At the end of 2021, zinc oxide will be banned, both mostly from the problem of putting slurry out on land with zinc oxide in the slurry. So it's due to be banned. We've been producing this product for about 4 years. We do about 20% of the Irish market with creep and weaner feed. If you're not using zinc oxide, in your pig farm, there's a fairly good chance you're using our product, even though you don't know it. This is an example. We just did some work again. If you remember, a good microbiome improves immunity. This is basically just a snapshot from a paper that we one of our PhD students. He published his first paper for the academics present. This was in Nature Scientific Reports, which is a good place to start if you're going to start publishing scientific papers. But we showed that this was a trial that was done where we had infectious bronchitis basically in poultry. And when we used our Auranta program, we got a 35 with the vaccines. I have to say this, we're a nutritional product, so with the vaccines, we got a result where we increased the production of antibodies by about 35% versus the animals that didn't get Auranta, okay, or a shield in this case. This is an example again. The anti-inflammatory effect, by having good gut health, you get anti-inflammatory effect in the gut, but we were also for the first time we're actually able to see that we were getting an anti-inflammation effect in the lungs and trachea. Infectious bronchitis is coronavirus in poultry basically, so it's a little bit topical at the moment, but obviously it's a different virus, not the same. This is more of the team. Pat Ward is the gentleman on the left. Nikolai Korkonoveci is a professor in ABFI who drives a lot of our research programs along with Professor Tom Baragry. I often tell people Auranta is a company of doctors and professors with their friend John, who's a lowly engineer. Just to give you an idea where we are at the moment, we've kind of set up 4 main hubs right now. As I said, our first product was sold in Southeast Asia. That continues to be our main market. We tend to go to places where we have major challenge because, as I said, the European situation is pretty good and pretty in control. This is the guys from Thailand. The gentleman on the left of me is Dr. Pilawat. He was the guy I met first, and he's worked on the ground with us since we started doing trials and playing with the product literally in the sheds and feeding us back information of how it's working. And then we're going back to the lab and actually doing the research and writing the papers. The other gentlemen are part of his team. In Egypt is probably our second biggest market at the moment. This is Pat was down there late last year with there are some of the vets that are selling our product. We tend to sell our products to vets who use it in conjunction with existing medicine as a boost. It's not a replacement, but it is a boost, and so that's just there. This is farmers are farmers. This is me sitting talking to a group of farmers in Ethiopia back a few years ago. Some of you might recognize the gentleman on my left. It's His Excellency Sean Hoy, who's now the ambassador in Brazil for Ireland. But again, just the problems are the same. We've the same everywhere. So we're established in about 15 countries right now, and we're developing in another 23 markets. Our next big target is North America. We're in the process of just finalizing an agreement over there with a very large food distribution company and animal product distribution company, and basically we hope to make an announcement of that fairly soon. So we've just received the funding to do a project in South Africa to look at sub-Saharan Africa, but use South Africa as a hub. We've been selling product down to South Africa for about 2 years into pigs, and now we're rolling out into poultry and into calves. We've started working in Russia. We've just finished our first trials there. Our products are all registered in that economic area, and we'd expect to be selling there by the end of the first quarter. As I said, North America, we have our American partners. We have a launch date for May 2021, and we'll be selling into pigs, poultry, and calves. And then this company has special expertise in phytogenic products, and they're used to selling them. So we're really excited about that. And then our latest project, we got funding recently from Enterprise Ireland to help transfer some of the technology we've done on animals for the food chain into pet treats. And we're working with a number of companies around Europe and in Asia who are interested in launching kind of dog treats, cat treats, that kind of thing. So that's really it from us. Just John, as a quick flash of what we're at. Yeah.
Thanks very much for that. John, just a quick one. What one piece of advice would you give anybody listening here today that are thinking of maybe quitting the PAYE job to head off on the journey that you just headed off on?
I don't know. The first one is that if you're going into this area, it takes a very long time. It's not an IT kind of gig, where if you have your product, you can be up and running in a short time. I suppose the mistakes I made, I started because I don't have a farming background. Really, I grew up in the country, but not a farming background, and I wasn't from the industry. So we kind of come in and we had a different viewpoint, but we also had no understanding or context in the industry. So it took us a long time. But I would say 5-6 years will be the kind of time you're talking about before you have revenue. So you need to be thinking, how are you going to manage that? We didn't go down the road of bringing in venture capital, although we have, as I said, we've got a lot of support from Enterprise Ireland. We have brought in a lot of the EIS funding, and we got a lot of support from AIB, in fairness. There were times the company looked like Beirut, but at the same time, they've stuck with us all the way. And my advice is think carefully and have a real good look at your resources before you start.
John, thanks for that, and I'm sure I speak for all of the listeners and viewers today when wishing you and the team all the very best on what is an exciting journey and probably more excitement to come. So well done on your success to date.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Cheers.